moving on from UFOs and the war in Iran, I'd like to talk about another thing that's been annoying me this week. And that is, I don't know, how should I put this? The slave auction that happened at a synagogue on the Upper East Side this week and the attendant protests surrounding it. This is about, I'm just going to read from, this is the Intercept's coverage of this. This is Noah Hurwitz in the Intercept. It says, a roving real estate expo for land sales in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories held an event at a New York synagogue on Tuesday, drawing a rebuke from Mayor Zoran Mamdani over the potential for land sales that violate international law. The Great Israeli Real Estate Event, a showcase that advertises its services in helping people in the United States, Canada, and the UK purchase land in Israel and the West Bank, hosted the event at Park East Synagogue in Manhattan's Upper East Side on Tuesday. The expo helps potential buyers navigate taxes, education concerns, and other issues that arise during relocation to Israel. Ahead of the event, Mamdani spoke out against the possibility of potentially illegal land sales being facilitated within the city. Quote, Mayor Mamdani is deeply opposed to the real estate expo this evening that includes the promotion of the sale of land and settlements in the occupied West Bank, said Sam Raskin, a spokesperson for Mamdani, in a statement to The Intercept. These settlements are illegal under international law and deeply tied to the ongoing displacement of Palestinians. So, like, obviously, like every time this happens, there's like protests and counter protests, and then of course, like they've created these like buffer zones to like supposedly like not impede anyone's access to a house of worship. And like a couple things on this, like I think you cease to be a house of worship when you're holding a slave auction inside of it. Like, I don't give a shit. And like, and the thing is that the promoters of these like land sales in the West Bank are hosting them in synagogues entirely intentionally, so that they can basically use the human shield technique to just be like, oh, they're protesting our religion or whatever. And it's just like, well, like if you make your religion about, killing people and then selling their land illegally, to like having an auction in New York so people from fucking New York and New Jersey can just like move to someone's house that you just killed. Like, if that is your religion, then fuck your religion. But like the main thing I want to say here is like, look, on Tuesday, originally it seemed like there was no comment from the mayor's office, but like they did issue a statement condemning this event. But then, like, my attitude on this is like, I could issue a statement condemning this fucking slave auction, but like I'm not mayor of New York. I have to keep it real here. Like, I'm going to need something a little bit more from this mayor than a statement condemning this as a violation of international law. And like, I'll put it like this. During the campaign, I remember when Mamdani said that if Benjamin Netanyahu visits New York City while he's mayor, he would arrest him. And he would arrest him for his many violations of international law. And people were like, like he didn't violate New York City law. Like, obviously, like there's all kinds of, like people say, oh, he can't really do that. But whatever. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, arrest this guy. Even if you have to release him immediately, like book him. Even if he's in jail for like an hour, I don't give a shit. And the thing is, he said in his statement condemning these that these are the illegal land sales that violate international law. So I'm like, which is it? Are we going to enforce international law in New York City or not? Because it seems like they're bitching out on this, and then also the enforcement of this like buffer zone to keep the protests like 2 or 3 blocks away, and then the use of the NYPD to enforce that. Honestly, seems like a betrayal to me of a lot of the people who voted for him. And like, look, on this show, like I've been critical of Mamdani, but like I want him to succeed, and like I hope this is taken as a constructive criticism here. But like, this shit is not going to cut it. You can't be mayor and then just like issue a statement saying like, oh, this is wrong, but like both sides of the protests are people should not shout pro-Hamas slogans, and then but also the counter protesters are wrong. It's like, when I had him on the show, I asked him, are you going to keep Tish as police commissioner? This is why. And you see now, like when you have a police commissioner who is wholly opposed to your agenda, and is like, her and her whole family are 100% dyed in the wool Zionists who are there to protect the illegal land slave auctions that are going on at these synagogues. And it's just like, I would like you to see you use the police to, if not like arrest these people for violations of international law, then to like fuck with them in some way parking tickets, fines, busted taillights, shit like that. You need to do something more than just issue a statement condemning it, is what I'm saying here.
The thing that people always bring up when they defend Zoran on this is, they point out that he is doing like a very good job on all the other aspects of being mayor, which I agree with, but they act like you are unfairly sabotaging him by bringing up this issue and forcing him to commit to something that like no other elected in America would commit to. And need I remind them again, this was not randomly he didn't wake up one day and this was part of his platform. He is the one who introduced all of this as a part of his campaign. He very consciously committed to a set of actions, most notably arresting Benjamin Netanyahu when he enters New York, but a whole set of policies, and branded himself as the pro-Palestine candidate in a way that no one else has. You can obviously argue that it was cynical or that it was a Hail Mary given widespread satisfaction with the Democratic Party running as an insurgent candidate. But the fact is, if you think this is an albatross around his neck that is being placed unfairly by his supporters, no, he put it there. He fucking put it there. No one did this to him but him. And I get the sense from Mamdani's people that this is not an AOC situation where they're getting hectored into this. Mamdani strikes me as, if not totally snakish, then perhaps too clever by half.
Yeah.
Maybe like a little bit of an Obama thing. If Obama was leftier but had the same thought process of like, oh, I'm going to show them by doing an event with Richie Torres, which is something he's also recently done. Maybe he is fully as cynical as Obama, and we'll find out one day. But I think we can at least safely say that he has similar thought processes. The same Obama stuff as this is a masterstroke nominating Merrick Garland. He's doing that, but with all these things he committed to. And bringing this up not even a year before and then abandoning it, that is not pragmatic. That does not. I've said so many people watch the show House of Cards, and they think that if a guy they like lies, they're like, oh, that's good. He's doing the evil stuff that we need to be. No, he fucked up. He fucked up. Oh, was Richie Torres doing House of Cards when he said, oh, I support defund the police? And now if you bring that up in front of him, he threatens to slit his wrists. He starts holding his breath and says, what if I die? Is that House of Cards? And it's this is what they're doing at these fucking synagogues. It is like if in 2015, there was a crazy, first of all, let's imagine that 85% of mosques openly supported ISIS. And at these mosques, at every let's say half the mosques in Queens,
buy a Yazidi slave today.
That's what exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we are marrying off younger congregants to Yazidi women who are in cages. And if you bid high enough, we'll give you the chance to shoot an Alawite woman in the head in a cage or light her on fire. And people protested it, and they were like, "You're protesting our religion, our space of worship." This is a pretty fucking easy thing to be against if you committed to a very legalistic interpretation of all this, which Mamdani did.
Yeah, I'll give another analogy that I think is also appropriate here. If a Russian Orthodox church in New York City was hosting a real estate expo event in which they were auctioning off property in the Donbass to give to Russian Americans so that they can move to what is a soon to be conquered part of Ukraine, or as a disputed territory in Ukraine, and then justify it by saying, well, we all know it's going to be part of Russia one day anyway, so it's not really no one's land is really being stolen. The people who used to live there are dead, but we're selling their property now because whatever. What do you want from us? Everyone would recognize that for what it is, and no one would stand for it. Or at the very least, if people protested it, no one would be like, "Oh, how dare they? How dare they?" How evil can you be? And look, if you can't actually arrest the people the organizers of these events, and not just the organizers of the events, but the people who attend them as well. I suppose you can't arrest someone for just attending an event, but like if they go through with it and actually buy this fucking land, I say arrest them. And if it doesn't hold up in court, then it doesn't hold up in court. But like you have this entire apparatus of the NYPD, which is like exists to like. There are so many ways that they can make life difficult on someone, even when they're not technically breaking the law, but they are, like doing something bad, right? So I'm saying, like, boot all their fucking cars, hassle them, like make life difficult for them in some way. Just give some indication that like you cannot come to the 5 boroughs and like sell the homes of people that a foreign military has just fucking like killed.
Do anything at all. I mean, it is.
Or how about this? How about like you like don't enforce this ludicrous like buffer zone thing so that protesters can't actually be in front of the thing that they're protesting. And like, and by the way, I come back to this over and over again. It's like you won the election, and you won an election easily, in which claims that you are anti-Semitic played no small role in the opposition to you. That was like pretty much the entire campaign against you. You won the election easily. And I guess like, I don't know, like I kind of see like a similar thing. I mean, like with the Greens in the UK, where it's just like,
yeah,
haven't we been through this Corbyn shit before? Like you're going to be called anti-Semitic. And like either that will discipline your behavior in some way, or you'll have like the courage of your convictions to just say, fuck it. I don't care. Like I like this is not clearly not anti-Semitic, but if you keep insisting that like it is the like an integral part of the Jewish identity and faith that like you get to carry out genocide and then auction off the fucking homes of the people you're killing, well then fuck it. Tell them to kick rocks and say like, oh, like, you should feel safe anywhere in New York City. If you're doing this shit, fuck you. I don't want you to feel safe anywhere. And if anything, I voted for Zoran to crack down on this kind of crime. And by crime, I mean mass murder, theft, and fucking fraud. Okay? Like these people are criminals. Maybe they're not committing crimes in New York City. Maybe it's merely a violation of international law, but like clean up the fucking streets. No more of this liberal hug a thug justice system. Can we use our cops for something? Can we make some arrests, please?
Enforcing this ridiculous buffer zone, not committing to anything that you said, even in the spirit of what you said. It's arguably worse to release a statement after doing that. It's arguably worse because you are. It is like a signal to everyone who is in favor of holding these auctions that hey, my hands are out of my pockets. I'm not going to jump out. It is a signal that you are a fucking pussy. You are letting them know that you are not a threat.
And to that point, Felix, like it's like to the idea here that like by registering my displeasure with the mayor's lack of leadership on this issue, or lack of like serious leadership, or the idea that like just issuing a statement is enough, that I'm like sabotaging or I don't want him to fail, or nothing's ever good enough for me. It's like quite the fucking contrary. Like I'm saying this because I want him to have a successful term in office. I want him to continue to grow and be like a popular figurehead for like what, I don't know, like a socialist branded or like, whatever, like left-wing political brand in America such that exists, like him as a figurehead of. And it's just like, guess what? Like they're doing this to you on purpose. And like they're doing it to like create an issue for you that you immediately like accede to them on and demoralize your own base. And thus prove that, like, and also prove over and over again that like you're a paper tiger. So like you're gonna have whether like this is politically inconvenient for you, but the answer is like you don't have the option of just being like you said, too clever by half and being like, I'm not going to engage. You got to jump out, or they're going to keep doing it to you. And like you've already proven that these people's accusations of anti-Semitism do not matter to voters. And you could say like, look, those same voters, it doesn't matter. They don't care that, a synagogue is hosting a stolen land expo. But the point is like, they associate you with this. And like, this is showing just like a lack, I don't know, like a lack of leadership, in my opinion.
Again, why associate yourself with it unless you were prepared to take a risk? You were successful taking a risk in defending, globalized Antifada. That worked incredibly well. Not only did you retain your support, you actually you got people who were on the fence and went, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And it did not work as a smear. It is very hard to figure out what the motive here is, unless, if it is not just like a complete cynical disavowal of his stated policies and eventually like creating some of the worst Netflix original content you've ever seen, like the Obamas. I don't like, what is it? What is the end game here then? What is the end game of doing an event with Richie Torres, of not pushing your advantage in any of these primary elections? What is the end game here? Because it's it's certainly not Zoran in the presidency. That's out. So what is it? Is it he went, oh, this is scarier than I thought.
Well, what is it is a good question. And like, I would just say open door to the mayor or his office to come on the show and explain that to us. Because like I said, like, I think I've been pretty clear. I'm not like, I haven't been inveighing against Zoran as a sellout since day one. Like I said, like, I think I've been pretty clear that I want him to be successful as mayor. And in most aspects of his term in office so far, I think he's doing a good job. But like, this is an Achilles heel for him. Like, this is a huge vulnerability. And he's getting punked right now. He's getting punked. And like, if I could just read from the New York Times coverage of this, it just says here, in November, Park East was the site of an event held by a different group, Nefesh Ben Nefesh, a nonprofit organization that promotes American immigration to Israel. This was the first flare-up related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict since Mr. Mamdani's election as mayor, and his response, which included chastising both the synagogue and demonstrators, alarmed many Jewish leaders. The police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, apologized at Shabbat services after the first protest for not doing more to shield the entrance to Park East from the protest's turmoil. This time, the police presence was far greater. A second high-profile protest outside a synagogue happened in Queens 9 days after Mr. Mamdani took office in January. It was organized in opposition to the firm behind the event on Tuesday, Tivuk Shelley, and turned deeply acrimonious. Anti-Israel demonstrators briefly chanted in support of Hamas, and pro-Israel demonstrators hurled slurs and death and rape threats at protesters and journalists. Mr. Mamdani condemned the behavior and language of both groups. Well, there you have it. Like, pick a side here. And like, whether it's Zoran Mamdani in New York or whether it's the Greens in the UK, political parties are personages or individuals that are clearly looking to ride a growing tide of, I don't know, an emerging consciousness opposed to the Zionist project in the West. And all the attendant evils that go along with it, against their influence over our government, all the wars they start, the war that they just got us embroiled in, and then like the ongoing genocide that they're carrying out in the West Bank, Gaza, and now Lebanon as well. You got to be like, okay, if you want to accrue the political benefit of speaking forcefully or truthfully about that, and speak to people's anger and hopes for a better future, you're going to be called anti-Semitic. You're going to be attacked for it. But like, once you get power, if writing that message gets you into office, it's not going to go away. And there needs to be some kind of like follow-up, because it can't just be like all this shit is still going on. Like, there needs to be action in addition to public statements. And like, the office of the mayor of New York City is, can do things other than just have an opinion publicly, is what I'm saying here. And like, until you're willing to just state openly, if you stand with Israel right now, go fuck yourself. We're not concerned with your feelings, and like, we're pursuing a moral and political agenda that is well within the mainstream of public opinion. It is what our constituents believe in. It's what we believe in, and we're going to stand on it. Until you're willing to do that, and like, I mean, the Greens too. Like, so the next time Labor puts out another huge dossier of like, here are 30 Facebook comments liked by Green, people running for office in the Green Party. And so you can just say, yeah, we said it, we believed it, go fuck yourself. Like, you're going to get punked, and you will get punked. And that's what's happening right now. And like I said, I would prefer that not happen. So I like, this is a moment that calls for leadership, and it calls for, just like, you've already gotten yelled at enough to get into office or even to run for office, being critical of Israel. Now that you're in office, you're going to get yelled at even harder. And if you, I guess, like, if you could withstand it running for office, you can stand it now that you're in office and have power. So all I'm saying is use that power.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the more that you fold on this and visibly back away from stated positions, do you think it makes it more or less likely that they're going to fuck with you in the future? I mean, let's take an example from the world's greatest opposition party to the Republicans, the IRGC. What worked better?
Yeah.
Jumping out, or we're open to negotiations.
And like, you know what, like, and if you want to say, like, look, the NYPD cannot like effect an arrest on someone who's violated international law, unless they violate it in New York City, or unless they, like, you know, break U.S. law in New York City, like kill someone or fucking shoplift out of a bodega or something like that. Fine, I can at least live with that, right? But what I can't countenance is this absurd buffer zone thing, and like the kind of like the quarantining of protesters away from the thing that they're protesting to shield the people going to loot the fucking corpses of people being killed by like a foreign military to protect their feelings or even their fucking safety. I'm sorry, I'm not, like, it's not good. Can't do it. Can't have it. Can't have it.
Yeah.
These people should be made to feel uncomfortable, and in doing so, nobody fucking cares. Like this is not an out there insane fringe position. People are fed up with this shit, and like all it requires is leadership and just like a willingness to stand up to this kind of shit. And I'm sorry, firing your fucking police commissioner who's like actively undermining you in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
That's my little plea, or you know, like that's my public statement condemning what went on in New York City on Tuesday this week. We did talk about the Greens. I mean, there is an election today in the UK, and our Keir Felix,
I think he's got it.
No, I think he's going to pull it out. I think he's going to pull it out.
Obviously, yeah. I think everyone knows the type of guy he is. A guy who plays a blinder. I know, yeah. I have only been tangentially following the Green Party stuff, but I remember I was talking to someone I knew in the UK. I know in the UK before, like when that first poll came out that showed they were surprisingly in a strong position. And that is what led me to reading about Zach Polanski, who was a huge Corbyn anti-Semitism crybaby. And the explanation people who supported the Green Party gave, which a lot of people who I respect went over to the Greens, which I get. Your party is I'm not saying their party. The party called your party is a fucking mess. I love Jeremy Corbyn as a man, but holy shit, like that is he's Leahy and Sarah Sultana is Randy. It's really fucked up. It's really fucked up over there. I don't feel good thinking about what.
I mean, the name of the party is a good indication of
it's so
like it's so whack. Like, wait, whose party?
Like,
what?
Such a who's on first?
Who's on first?
Like, yeah. But I did go, okay, like this Polanski guy seems bad. And they went, oh, okay, he's explained that thing. He's explained all the stuff he said during Corbyn. He said he got caught up with it. And it's like, okay, well, then that means his judgment is really fucking shitty. If he legitimately had a change of heart, okay, great. Why does he have to be the leader of the fucking party? Why all these guys who are like, you know, I think if you could force Zoran to answer this question, why did you commit to doing all these things? If you're not even going to fucking do away with this buffer zone shit, he would go, I made a mistake. Okay, then why are you the fucking guy? If that is always the explanation, I got caught up in it. I made a mistake. Richie, on the other side, Richie Torres going to fund the police in 2020. Why did you say that? I was excited. Okay, I think you're a bad person for a leadership, public-facing position.
My favorite reaction to the Park East Synagogue slave auction came courtesy of Jesse Singal, who was like, of course I'm opposed to what Israel is doing in the West Bank, But like, if you want normies like me on your side, you're going to have to be a little careful about, like he was disputing like whether the NYPD were actually harassing or attacking the protesters. By the way, the counter protesters at this event were the Jewish Defense League, which is like basically the FBI considers a terrorist organization. And like, I think it's so telling in the New York Times coverage of this that they were like, some of the protesters shouted pro-Hamas slogans. They don't mention what those were, but my guess would be from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, or globalize the Intifada. And then the JDL guys were just shouting rape and death threats. And then and then the mayor's response to that is like, well, I condemn the language of both sides of these protests. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
I love the idea. I love that though, that like, this is Israel as an issue has never quite been in the public consciousness like this. It is a watershed moment, both for Israel's historical unpopularity in America and Palestine as a cogent issue, and even just people you would never expect, endorsing, in so many words, our Band of Brothers thesis, we'll call it. Jesse is like, all right, you want to like push that over the hill. You want to like get over, get the 1964 civil rights moment. We need Jesse Signal.
we need normal people like Jesse Signal. And it's like
I hate that. Like no one who works in the article industry is normal. No one.
Yeah.
Like Jesse, you're crazy. You're crazy, Jesse. Even take out anything else. You clearly like your thing you want to do with your life is like you only want to write articles about this thing that like people just yell at you and you argue about. You want to argue about the same thing for like 12 years. And I've never even read the articles. Keep in mind.
Of course
not. Of course not. But he's like, you clearly. You have some podcast where it's like, it's called the like people get mad at us podcast. I mean, some other annoying person. And it's like, clearly you are an insane person. Like you are a madman. I don't know what is up with you. I don't really care. It's
also,
not
like
my business.
In no universe do I believe that you are gettable to the pro-Palestine cause. Okay.
Yeah. No one thinks that.
So you're like, oh, like no one like, I would be gettable if people simply stop protesting all the awful thing, all the awful genocidal things Israel is doing, or like maybe if they didn't shout a certain slogan that's really alienating a totally normal guy like me, as you said, host of the. Everyone's mad at me podcast.
Yeah. This is a part of the podcast where we read off all the death threats people have sent us. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like you're normal. It sounds like people fucking hate you. It sounds like you, I don't like, how much money are you making doing this? I know it's gauche to ask, but it is like, I think if I met a normie that was like you, it would be a guy who's notorious at his workplace for every 6 months, he surreptitiously threads one of his nuts through his fly in his pants and then walks around the office and everyone's like, ew, what? He's like, oh my God, how did that get there? Whoa, I'm sorry.
Like as far as like Jesse's career goes.
And he jacks off to that happening. And that's not a normal guy. Most people don't have that in their office.
I mean, like, my guess is actually Jesse probably makes pretty good money with this, like, I don't know, like Substack. Or, does he have a Substack? I assume so.
But I've heard he makes 12 pence a year.
But, like, this is a guy who, like, would have, I think, probably been, over the last 10 years or so, mostly been kind of, like, lost in the shuffle of, bog standard progressive liberal journalists. But he found his wheelhouse, which is the thing everyone gets mad at him for, which is like, hey, I'm just asking questions about how many trans people should exist. Okay. Like, what's the right number? Because right now there's probably too many. I'm not saying I'm against them, but I'm just saying there's too many of them. And we need to like, turn the dial back down on the, the transition factory. And like, that's the audience he's cultivated is like the liberal apostate on trans or gender issues. And like, he clearly plays to that audience on all of his other opinions. So the idea that like, Jesse Single is fucking gettable, or that anyone should countenance his opinion as a normal guy like I said, it's very dear to me.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, they very clearly have won over like normie, broadly liberal people who previously were like, oh, I want a two-state solution. If you look at the numbers amongst Democratic voters, that has happened. People are so cowardly. Is there anything more cowardly than being like, yeah, I'm the most normal guy in the world, and I represent the views of 100 million Americans?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying this because I believe this, but look, I'm on your side. I'm disgusted by all this, but I'm like, as a normal guy, I'm freaked out by all. I'm freaked out by all this vociferous opposition to this thing that I say is an unconscionable crime against humanity. So you have to
exactly like that is the opinion mongers fucking like that is their stock and trade fucking go-to move, is veiling their actual beliefs behind some mythical person or normal person or voter. It's just like, so that way it can be like, well, of course I'm opposed to what Israel is doing to the West Bank. But like the way people are going about protesting it is, I'm just going to like give voice to an imaginary person that takes it's like, actually, this is hurting the cause. This is hurting the cause that I definitely support, by the way. So please heed my advice on this and cease to be so strident in your anger directed at, the at the Hitler country.
Yeah, it is like, okay, I've been watching a lot of Ray Romano. This is the example we're going to use. This is like if your wife or your girlfriend is like, oh, I've gotten really fat recently. Don't you think I've like gained like 10 pounds? And you were like, I don't think that, but like the average person who just the average person we're going to see outside, who I am also, I'm a member of that community. They're going to think you're disgusting and huge. So you have to eat 3/4 of one meal every day. No, don't get mad. I agree that you're not like, no, I don't like that. But I like, just for what the average person, I don't want to go out with you and people are like, there goes the Goodyear blimp, and I have to kick their ass and defend your honor because I don't believe in violence.
And like, this is part and parcel of like, it astounds me given the way like every opinion poll is now public record about like how not just not fringe, but like 80-20, 90-10, this issue is for Democratic voters, is what we're talking about here. And then like independents too. They are revolted by Israel and furious at them for their many, many war crimes and fucking just atrocities that they're committing on a day-to-day basis. That was unthinkable even 5 years ago.
Every random person I talk to, and it even tangentially comes up, they're like, yeah, this is like the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. Like I'm not even like bringing it up, and like the place where I get my hair cut, like the woman who always cuts my hair, she like it just randomly, and she was like, yeah, that was, like some of the worst shit I've ever seen. Just like any like in any fucking ride share, any like bar you go, just if it comes up, it is someone going, I am appalled and disgusted. It's not. I have never self-selecting, sure. But I've never met someone who's like, yeah, I think it's pretty bad, but I don't like how they're protesting houses of worship. That seems to be a pretty fucking fringe position.
That's the fringe position. And like doubly true for the war in Iran. Like there is nobody in this country who's not getting not getting paid directly by the state of Israel who's in favor of this war. No one. I mean, I'm sure there's like, there's always enough dum-dums in this country for people who are like, oh, trust the plan. Donald Trump's winning the war. But like, that's negligible. That's negligible. Yeah. There's only people who are being paid for the pleasure of sucking off Donald Trump and the state of Israel are the only, like, people like Mark Levin, who's like, Mr. Trump, you have to bomb them now. We have to destroy them immediately. Like, nobody is hot for this shit. Everybody knows it's a disaster. Everybody hates it. It's just a question of whether you pretend not to publicly or not. So it's just like, given that that's the case, and the fact that Israel is implicated in all of this and is about, like I said, about as popular as gonorrhea in this country right now, I think everyone on our side should be very wary. And like I'm speaking to myself about this too. Like I'm saying this like for my own benefit as well. Now that this issue has become like a super majority issue for Democratic voters, you are seeing a change in rhetoric. Like you see the way every Democratic politician now is like, oh, I don't take money from AIPAC. Oh, I will commit not to take money from AIPAC. And they're all, the rats are fleeing the ship. But like, you need to be wary of the fact that like of a new political rhetoric that will sort of metabolize this gigantic shift in public opinion. and say things that like sound correct, but like are very assiduously only doing so to maintain the status quo. Like, for instance, there was someone in the Biden administration, I forget who it is, but in public comments yesterday, she said, what Israel has done in Gaza is the equivalent of a genocide, or may one day be deduced as a genocide. But it is still critically important that we keep Israel as an ally. And like it's that follow with like, well, of course Israel is a genocidal apartheid state, but like but essentially, what do you want us to do? To not say it doesn't have a right to exist? Side with its enemies?
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do? Support the people that are actually fighting them? No, that would be evil.
Exactly.
Well, obviously I don't support Hamas or the government of the unbelievably, unspeakably evil government of Iran. They're firing missiles at Israel. Like how oh God, like, so it's just like, you should be very wary of people who say the thing that was previously unsayable, which is that, Israel's an evil fucking country. But then, like, it's committing genocide. It's an apartheid state. It's a disease, it's spiritually, morally, politically. It is a diseased project that we need to cleave ourselves from. But like, it's to make sure that we never actually do cleave ourselves from it. And like, once again, it goes back to the Mayor Z here. You can't just say the right things. You can say the right things when you're running for office and you lose. And then you go, well, we stood on principle. We moved the ball down the field. But if you actually win, you got to do something more than just say the right thing. There's got to be some follow up on like what the implications of one of our dearest, closest allies engaging in this, like, in atrocities of this scale.
Yeah. I hope people learned a lot from Medicare for All when such luminaries as Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom were in favor of Medicare for All. When, as I think Brianna brought up recently, the argument for Gavin Newsom several years ago was he's on track to do Medicare for all in California, and then he'll be president and he'll do it for the nation. Where are we with that? If you do not watch out, they are going to do that with we're stripping all aid. That'll happen before you fucking know it. And it is just through sheer exhaustion, they have willed it out of the political consciousness. Do not let it. Do not fall for someone like Gavin Newsom, who just will do whatever is. I mean, he's too clever by quarter. He will disavow any position he said like a second ago to seem like amenable, and it makes you look insane.
The future is Gavin Newsom and Hakeem Jeffries kneeling while wearing a keffiyeh and committing to stay the name of every dead Palestinian child on the White House Rose Garden every day.
The end result of this is land acknowledgments for Palestine.
Yep,
that is it. If you let them dictate the pace and the decorum of this, and let the, like, hey, this thing that we said we were against for our entire fucking careers, we have a plan to enact it, and we just figured it out now. That is what a character in the show The Boys would do.
I've not been watching that show.
I think it's courageous how shitty it is. Pretty awesome. I like what a bad job they're doing.
The first 3 seasons were fun. I liked it.
Yeah, the first 3 seasons were really fun, and then they were just like, every episode is called like, Hawk Tua Build a Wall, and it's like, oh, I wonder what this is about. Really good job.
All right, well, let's wrap it up for there today. We'll leave it there for today.